Hey, second grade. I have a new story for us today. I'm going to review quickly what you learned last week with Miss Fryover first, and then we'll jump into our story for today. So last week, we started learning about the human body, and we learned last week with Miss Fryover that the smallest building block of life is called a cell. So what I've done, I have some Play-Doh here, and I made some little cells with the Play-Doh to give you a visual to see what this looks like. Now remember, the cells inside of our body are microscopic, which means that we can't see them unless we have a microscope. So we can't actually look and see the cells, but we know that they're there because scientists have found them. So we take some cells, that's the smallest building block of life, and whenever I squish my cells together, let's say that those were all stomach cells, and I squish all of the stomach cells together, and now I have what we call tissue, okay? So this would be a stomach tissue because it was made from stomach cells. Now I have some stomach tissue and some more stomach tissue and some more stomach tissue, and eventually whenever I get all of my stomach tissues together, I've now formed the stomach, okay? So this would be an example of what it looks like. It goes from little bitty cells that squish together into tissues, and finally they become a full organ, a stomach. And whenever we get lots of organs that work together that do the same thing, it's called an organ system. So today we're going to be learning about an organ system, which is called the digestive system. And this one actually has the stomach in it. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see our normal story. Like I said, this is called the digestive system today. So we'll go into present mode and you can still see me in the corner, I believe. Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to start our reading for today about the digestive system. The digestive system is about how our food, what happens to our food when we eat it. So it says, when I look at you, I can't tell whether you're hungry or whether you've just had a meal. But one thing I do know for sure is that everybody has a digestive system, and right now, all of your digestive systems are working. It takes about 20 hours for food to travel through your gut or your digestive tract along a complicated series of tunnels with openings at both ends. Where does this journey for food begin? Yes, the process of digestion begins when you put a piece of food in your mouth. Oops. There we go. When you were born, most of your teeth were hiding under your gums. That's why babies have to start by eating a liquid diet. That's why you see babies with a bottle instead of babies with chips, because they don't have food to chew them yet. But once your first set of teeth come in, you are able to eat solid foods. Your teeth help you break down food into millions of tiny pieces. The longer you chew, the smaller the pieces of food become, and it's easier for you to then digest. Let's take a look at the different types of teeth that you have in your mouth. The flat wedge ones at the front, right here, are called your incisors. The incisors on top and bottom work together like a pair of scissors to bite, slice, and cut up your food. Next to the incisors are sharp fang-like teeth right here called canines. They're your pointy teeth. And they're called canines teeth because canine means dog teeth. These are the teeth that we use to rip and shred or tear apart our food the way that a dog would do with a piece of meat. Behind your canines are bicuspids, which are these bigger teeth that help to crush food. And in the very back of our mouth are the biggest teeth we have that are wide and bumpy on top, and they're known as molars. These help to squish our food into a mushy-like material before we swallow. Excuse me. When you smell your favorite food, your mouth probably starts to water as you think about how yummy it will taste. This watery substance inside your mouth is called saliva or slobber. It's the same thing. Saliva comes from the small salivary glands inside your cheek and underneath your tongue. It helps keep your mouth damp and softens your food as you chew, beginning to break down food for easy digestion. Saliva serves another important job too. It helps to wash away and kill bacteria when we put stuff into our mouth. Not only does your tongue help you taste your food, it also helps to push the food around inside your mouth, rolling it into mashed up wet lumps of food. Your tongue then pushes the lump of food to the back of your mouth and helps you swallow your food. Once the food is swallowed, it passes through a canal called the esophagus. And I have a little blue esophagus here. So your esophagus is right in here, and this is what your food travels down into when you swallow, down your throat or your esophagus. Muscles squeeze together and push the food down into the stomach in about 10 seconds or less. Put your hand on the left side of your upper abdomen, just below your chest and above your waist. So right in this area is where they're talking about. This is where your stomach is. Your stomach acts like a balloon, expanding to hold the food that it receives when you eat. The stomach's gastric juice helps break down the food into a paste-like substance. So once you swallow your food down into your esophagus, it heads into your stomach, which is over here on the side. And once it's in your stomach, there's juice inside your stomach that starts to break it down. Round and round the food churns for 3 or 4 hours as muscles squeeze inside your stomach walls. I'm going to do an experiment to show you here in just a minute. Once it is the substance of a thick soup, the food continues its journey out of the stomach and into the intestines, which look like this, and they're right here toward the middle part of your body. There are 2 types of intestines. You can see one is brown and one is orange in my picture. The small intestine and the large intestine. Sorry, I have this upside down. A muscular gate or sphincter at the bottom of the stomach opens up and allows food to flow from the stomach into the small intestine. Even though it's actually longer than the large intestine, it's called the small intestine because it's much skinnier than the large intestine. Muscles squeeze together and push the mashed up soupy liquid along your curly small intestine. The juices inside here are called enzymes, and they break down food to make it more watery along the way so it eventually can come out of our body. The small intestine is what we're looking at here, and they've cut it open so you can see what it looks like on the inside. It has millions of villi or finger-like threads, and it's where some of the most important work of the digestive system takes place. The villi reach out and absorb or suck up nutrients and water, passing them through the bloodstream into the cells of your body. So you can see these little things inside of here. They kind of look like fingers that are reaching out. Those are used to suck up the nutrients, the good stuff from the food that we want to keep, the healthy stuff that our body needs. After it sucks out all the nutrients and the water and the healthy stuff that our body needs, it pushes the rest of the food to the large intestine, which comes next. So sorry. Most of the nutrients that are absorbed by the small intestine's villi travel to the reddish purplish liver, which is your body's most important cleansing organ. So here I have, like on the screen, here's my liver that I have on my paper. Your lower ribs on the right side of your body are what protect your liver, so it's in here somewhere. Its main function is to clean your blood and filter or strain out any leftover waste. So waste is a really important word that we'll talk about when we learn about the human body, because waste is stuff that we don't want in our body. It's the bad stuff that we want out of our body. If you think of a waste basket, that's like a trash can. The waste is stuff we're throwing away. We don't want it. We want the waste to come out of our body. So there's 2 types of waste in our body. There's a liquid waste, which is pee when we go to the bathroom, and there's a solid waste, which is poop when we go to the bathroom. So those are the 2 main ways that waste leaves our body whenever our body has taken the things that it needs from the food. The waste is what comes out at the end, the stuff that we don't want to keep inside of our body. The clean blood, after it's been through the liver with lots of nutrients, is carried to all of our muscles to make them stronger, to make bones harder, and to help every other part of your body give energy that you need to grow. Since blood goes to every part of your body, your liver performs a very important function of making sure the blood circulating inside your body is clean. This finger-shaped organ right here inside the circle is called the appendix. As far as anyone knows, it doesn't seem to be very useful inside of our body. From time to time, the appendix can actually become infected or sick and cause people to have appendicitis. This is when people get a very sharp pain in their lower stomach around their intestines. If it causes them too much pain, doctors can remove it since it's not something that our body has to have. So an appendix is something that can be taken out if it's bothering us, if it's starting to hurt us and give us pain. We don't need an appendix to survive, so the doctors can go in and take it out. The large intestine is where the solid waste ends up from our food. Even though the large intestine is much shorter than the small intestine, it's called the large intestine because it's much wider or thicker around. Parts of the food that was not digested in the small intestine are squeezed out into the large intestine, where they can remain for up to 2 days. So you still have food inside your body from 2 days ago that's trying to work its way out still. The waste becomes thicker and thicker, piling up into solid mass known as feces, which is another word for poop. Feces, or poop, is stored in the rectum, the final stage of the large intestine, until another muscular gate, or sphincter, opens and allows the feces to pass through our anus, which is the body's exit point for solid waste, which would be when we go to the bathroom on the toilet. That is the end of your food's journey, from your mouth to your esophagus, down into your stomach, your small intestine, your large intestine, and all the way out into your anus, where it goes into the toilet. The digestive system's organs are working all day, all night to process food into substances that your body can use, and giving your body the nutrients and energy that you need to survive and grow. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I have a quick, really easy experiment to show you how the digestive system works. So this is an experiment that you can do at home if you would like to, if your parents will allow you to. This is an option. This is not something you have to do. You can just watch me do it, or you can try doing it at home. It's up to you and your family. So I have a bag here, and all that I did is I poured some lemonade in it, actually. I poured some lemonade in it, and you can use Sprite or Coke or any kind of juice, whatever you might drink at home. So I put the lemonade in the bag. My bag here is representing my stomach. So here's my stomach. So the bag is representing my stomach. So after I've swallowed this lemonade, it goes down and it makes all these gastric juices inside of my stomach. Now let's say then, you have to be very careful if you're doing this at home, not to spill, especially if you're by your computer. Make sure you move away from your computer so you don't get your computer wet. And you might want to make sure this stays on the table. So I'm going to pretend that I've just eaten a cracker. I've eaten some crackers, so it's going down into my stomach right now. I'm chewing, I'm swallowing, it's going down my esophagus and into my stomach, which is represented by the bag. So once it gets into my stomach, remember that the stomach has gastric juices that are going to break down this cracker that I just ate. Remember that the stomach is a muscle, which means that it moves. So when the food gets down into your stomach, it's going to start to move and start to squish the food inside of your stomach. This is what your stomach does inside your body. It massages the food that's inside, and it mixes with those gastric juices, and eventually it looks like a yucky soup mixture. All of our food that we've just swallowed and eaten is now in this yucky form that looks gross to us, but it's normal for our body. And after this happens, The organs in your body will suck out the nutrients that it wants to keep that helps us grow, and the rest of this stuff that our body does not need will be passed along the intestines and out the rectum eventually, because it's waste. It's stuff that our body doesn't want to keep. We don't keep everything from the food we eat, especially if we're eating lots of junk food. There would be lots of waste that comes out because junk food doesn't have nutrients that our body needs to keep us healthy. So this is a really cool, quick experiment that you can do. Make sure you're with a parent or an adult so you don't make a mess in your house, though, to represent how the stomach works. And on our next lesson, we will have another experiment that you can try at home as well. So I hope to see you guys next time.